Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. We freedom of speech is sacrosanct. Make use of it. Let no one challenge. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is around. Galaxy in Confero, hope you know. 473 standing strong is yours, you know. The medium, an opportunity for you. Make your contribution, let them know. Though you shall beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is a road. Chinese and lucky like we. Rand and North Korea wish they had it too. Most of the Caribbean lucky like we. Studio Galaxy Day for you and me. Blow your shell, beat your drum, tell others. Like and share, subscribe and discuss it too. Let the world know Studio Galaxy is around. The medium cooler, Studio Galaxy in Confero, hope you know. 473 standing strong is yours, you know. The medium, an opportunity for you. Make your contribution, let them know. Democracy in Spice Islands is alive and well.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program this morning on Studio Galaxy 473. And we're very happy to be back with you again. And we always encourage you to share our program, like our program, and subscribe to the program. That is the only way you could give, that is the only way you could help to provide for local content to grow. And this morning we're going to speak on the topic, the political impact or the dynamics of the political impact on agriculture. For farmers in particular, you have a lot of political dynamics going on, and we have to speak about the impact. Sometimes we are a little too reactive and not proactive enough. And when issues are going on, we must have discussion. We must have discussion on those issues. And I think it is right time, based upon what is going on. We saw CARICOM very iffy, very hesitant, fighting to forge unity. We heard Carmela from Trinidad and Tobago, and she was definitely laying it on the ground as simple and straightforward as she could. She's not one of the better talkers in politics, and sometimes that is a good thing. So today we speak about the impact of the politics on farmers. All farmers need to be concerned. The number to call is 536-2558. And when we speak, we provoke discussion. And with us this morning, as usual, with the Galaxy Equalizers, we have Jousha. And we are concerned. The farmers are concerned. and we want to encourage farmers to be prepared, hold discussion. My brother Joshua.
Good morning to all in the diaspora, at home, worldwide. It's a very important topic that we have before us this morning, because the world's changing and the dynamics are changing. The impact on farmers are real. I was in the market this morning at 6 o'clock listening to farmers, hearing their concerns on the street. I was disappointed I didn't have a camera with me. Now, not too long ago, we had a situation where we had discussions in terms of the World Economic Forum, in terms of discussions that was going on. And one of the things that a lot of the economic leaders agreed upon is something that the Canadian Prime Minister said. He said, and in terms of economic, he advised the grouping of world leaders that the world as they know it no longer exists. He called it a rupture. He said there was a rupture in the world. And if we're thinking that things are going to go back to normal, how it was before, in terms of the rule-based economy, that's not going to happen. He was basically saying, in summary, that the new way the world was operating was that if you're big and powerful, you can do what you want. You're above the law, essentially. The law doesn't apply to you. And in many ways, I'm being as kind of crude as I can to get the point home. So there's rules for one set of the world, and there's another rule for the superpowers, who essentially, he was saying, were using all sorts of strategy, some would call it coercion, to force other countries to bend towards their way of thinking. So this idea that a lot of countries developed on was, this idea of fairness and rules-based, those things he was saying are gone. They're floating down the river. You can't get them back. Now, in Little Grenada, sometimes what happens is that these things the impact, especially the economic impact, it hits us, and we lie down and take it, and every so often we bawl and we complain, but nothing really effectively is done to address the situation. So discussions like this that we're trying to engage in this morning is very important. Now, if we cannot get market for our product based on the regime in the United States and the use of tariff, it's going to be very, very difficult for our farmers, especially our fishermen and our traders who trade in all sorts of product, be it from soursop to spices, etc. It's gonna have a devastating impact in terms of our economy and those farmers who depend on those products for their livelihood. There's no ifs and buts about it. Our situation is dire and will get even worse, because if we just focus on the fishermen, for example, we were told probably 4 or 5 months ago that export to the United States will be banned or suspended until we get our compliance regime in place that, fits the requirement of the United States. And obviously the government have passed some legislation towards compliance. There's been a reaction in terms of making sure that we comply as much as we can. But we're now in the end of February. We're about to jump into March. And as yet, we still cannot export our fishes to the United States. And the talk is still the same from about 4 to 6 months ago. We are looking for markets. I don't know how we can be looking for market after we've had a warning of about 6 months that we're looking for market. It either shows that we're not taking things seriously in terms of our strategic kind of reaction to these things, or we're just hoping that, somehow we'll be okay and everything will be back to normal. But as the Canadian Prime Minister said, the world is going through a rupture. It's not going to be back to the same again, so whatever whatever action we can take, we need to be taking it now. I had a discussion on Friday with the company who are based in Wester Hall. I don't remember their name, but they're famous for grinding our cinnamons and all our kind of bay leaves and those things and exporting that product. And the owner was saying to me that, the business has kind of come to almost a grind because a lot of the products that they could have sent to the United States and have it received, that business has stopped. And they were also complaining about the fact that, in many ways, it appears from what she was telling me that our products are being bought by other nationals and branded under other national flags. Apparently, some of our products have some real kind of unique qualities. The smells and taste tend to be more pungent. So all of these things are there in the air and needs this discussion because, the trade has really dried up for them, and they're thinking that, there is a trade internally, but we need to kind of support that trade, create the market, and raise awareness in terms of marketing and advertising. And as we know, marketing can be quite costly. The marketers always say marketing doesn't cost, it pays. And yes, it does pay in the long run. But initially, the startup costs tend to be a little prohibitive for most small businesses. So, I hope that, those of you out there who are bawling, in terms of the pressure that you're experiencing with your export, I hope and I pray that, a way can be found whereby you can still keep going. But the wider picture, I think, in terms of all of this is that it's not just Grenada that the rupture in the world is affecting. We have internal disagreements in terms of CARICOM leaders. We have threats in the Caribbean in terms of trade with Cuba, trade with Venezuela. And all of these things are happening, and we can't pretend it's not happening. Now, we've pretended that everything is the same, but it's not the same because the impact of these economic pressures being felt by the small businessmen and small business women who are not able to export their product, whether to the United States or wherever. It's a very disruptive environment and situation that we find ourselves. And we cannot continue to just put our head in the sand and, our thinking part is exposed. We need to have discussions. We need to find ways in terms of resolving these issues as quickly as we can.
That's perhaps we need to find ways. I always believe that in a crisis, there are always opportunities. And what we do more often in a crisis, we blame, we throw our hands up in the air, and refuse to negotiate. Maybe that is what is happening with CARICOM now. Yeah. CARICOM Islands seems to be cannibalizing, turning against one another. You have Trinidad and then Barbados and the other Caribbean islands. And the reason they are doing it is difficult for the ordinary mind to understand. I say that because if you ask the average Grenadian, who is our two most important trading partners, they may well say Trinidad and Tobago and the United States of America. Trinidad and Tobago, because we have had a very profitable trafficking, that trade between Trinidad and Tobago. In yesteryear, it was much more even in that we brought a number of vegetable, ground provision, citrus, whiskey, brandy to Trinidad. And then we got back money and then goods from Trinidad that we sell here. St. Vincent, trade with Trinidad is even stronger, and Antigua and etc. But on the other hand, it seems as though our political directorates are forgetting that St. George's University contribute more than 20% to the GDP. Then we have a tourist market, and we believe we are investing money on fantastic hotels. Now, where do you expect the tourists to come from? The whole world like European tourists. American tourists first, European tourists. Yes, we have been having tourists from China and Japan and other countries, but based upon the culture of these people, they are much more conservative. They're not as big spenders as the Europeans and the Americans. Now, the farmers in Grenada, they want to shed a tear. We have been warned, and you mentioned that, about the fishing industry more than 6 months ago. We, the public, but the government has been warned about it as soon as they come in office. And their response, we understand, was they didn't have staff. And then we have the CBI program. They changed the name, everybody, but CBI stick with me. Selling passport. We're selling thousands and thousands of passports. But that again depends on the American market. So we seem to be pushed or directed more by ideology than economics. And I think now that you have the rest seems to be against Trinidad, because it appears that Trinidad and Guyana in one side of the pendulum, but Guyana is not speaking much. And Trinidad is tying up a lot of arrangement with Guyana. Recently, I heard they would send doctors to Guyana. Now, where Grenada standing there? Are we stupidly ruling ourselves out of the positive equation? Because if this situation deteriorates with the United States of America, and could, I listened to some Republican senators, and they seem to be more hawkish and bullish than Donald Trump. And people must not just against Donald Trump and not listen to him. Because Rubio is the Secretary of State, and Vance is the first time in a long time looking American president that the roles of the vice president is very dominant. So Donald Trump is not doing it alone. He seriously involved the vice president and Rubio. They're very active. So Joshua, sometimes I wonder if our leaders are understanding that we can't push ideology without recognizing the economic importance.
I think it's very difficult for us as a people, but even more difficult for our political leaders, because is that we all share the same idea, the same thoughts, the same philosophy, the same economics. And the truth of the matter is we don't. We have different pressures that are on each of us. So Trinidad would say they've been suffering in terms of gun culture for a number of years. You know, they've been overrun with the gun culture. They've been overrun with migrants coming in. They've been overrun with all kinds of international bad behavior by many people. You know, some of the islands, I know, for example, in Grenada, it's very hard for us to understand that. We have a little problem in Grenada, but nothing to talk about. We're a very safe, very solid kind of island when it comes to law and order. So we've never experienced what Trinidad has been experienced for a number of years. The other thing as well that we have to understand is that in times of this great distress, leaders would often say, yes, we have to hold together, but at the same time, we have to seek our individual interests. And Trinidad has made it very clear. They are seeking Trinidad interest in terms of the oil industry. They are seeking Trinidad interest in terms of the gun violence and the crime, etc. And these are difficult choices because in my heart, you know, I know over 100 people have been killed in terms of this current conflict. I know that something is boiling up with Iran. I hear that strikes have been done on Iran already. And it's been made quite clear, and it tugs the leaders' hearts, I suppose, that, you know, Cuba is under the light, you know, and some of them really want to support Cuba and want an end to this kind of escalation of the situation. But it seems that the superpower is determined to change in terms of the regimes, whether it be in Venezuela, whether it's in Cuba. As Mr. Pierre was saying, there's a new mindset, and we need to listen to what's being said, and we need to maneuver and protect ourselves. Now, I'm very clear in terms of my thinking and what I see, that, you know, we're not in a rule-based world where fairness comes. We're in a power world where those who have power have decided that they will use it to their interest. Now, I want us to use our power to our interest. And you've heard Mr. Pierre, you've heard myself use the word in the past. We're just a little tittery compared to the big whale that's outside of us. So we always have to kind of be very careful and know how to swim in the water. But the opportunity that's here for us, and as bad as the situation is externally, my hope is for peace and de-escalation. But it doesn't look as though my hope is going to be considered by the powers that be. Now, the opportunity that we have, and it's very real, it's about developing our internal economy. This talk about we're looking for market now in terms of fish. I mean, the horses are already gone.
Yeah, they do bring.
Yeah.
All horses.
Yeah. What we have to do is we have to use what we have. So we have a degree of tourism, and let's hope it doesn't get worse. We have
to preserve it.
Yeah.
How do we preserve tourists when we seem to be hostile? When we seem to be hostile against the American tourists, not the American tourists, but the American ideology, if we should put it that way, or the perspective of it, and the Trinidad perspective of it.
Yeah, so this is where those people who are in position and really do not have the diplomatic credential, are being exposed now, because this is where diplomacy really matters. But I want to stick to my idea so I can share it with you, because it's an idea that will bear great fruits, great benefits to our people if we have the fortitude and we have the determination and the vision to go down this road. We've talked about linking agriculture to tourism for years and years. There's, I know for sure that there's a plan written and sitting in the ministry with our Ministry of Agriculture and gathering dust. Now, this morning I was in Grenville Market. No beef in the market. The local produce, fresh produce, they were great. They're smelling good. They're pungent. It's green. The market is green. I wish I had a camera with me this morning. People was kind of telling me about our program and this and that and all kinds of stuff. It was dynamic and it was real. Now, how do we survive this thing with the problem that we have? We can be a little ingenious. So we want to send our product to the U.S. But we have a number of U.S. people here. Why don't we sell it to them directly? And that's how the way we do it is to link agriculture to tourism. Now, the World Bank have told us to do that. Many other countries have done that, and it's bearing great fruits.
Why do you think we're struggling to link agriculture to tourism?
I think there's a lack of understanding and there's a lack of vision in terms of the depth and the potential economic benefit for farmers. This is a project that trickles down directly to the farmer, trickle down to family. This is local people in Paraclete or in Bel Air or St. David's selling their produce and actually receiving benefits and payment, and that payment going towards their children's school books, their vehicles, their house, their gas. It has a real benefit to local ordinary people. I'm not sure if there's a lack of understanding that ordinary people need to have something as well, need to get some benefits. I know, government from government now understand the debushing program and they don't touch it anymore. Debushing is here to stay. And so they link debushing with votes. But, for our economy and our country, there's no reason. If we have a proper program, we went and get a number of animals, to increase our breeding stock in terms of our livestock. There's no reason why we cannot target so that within 2 to 3 years, we are supplying, beef to the hotels. We are supplying mutton to the hotel. We are supplying goat to the hotels. There's no reason that the hotels shouldn't be using, all the local fish. We shouldn't be processing the fish here in Grenada and selling it to the hotels. We don't have to, ship it all the way to America so that the American people can get a taste of our fish. We can give it to them right here, right now in the hotels. And although that might not solve all our problem, it will go a long way towards alleviating the economic strangulation that some of the farmers and some of the exporters are saying that they're experiencing.
We have had a lot of discussion on linking agriculture with tourism.
Mm-hmm.
We even venture into big tourist project.
Yeah.
But the link has not get off the ground.
No, it hasn't.
And maybe we must wonder why.
Yeah. Sometimes having spoken to many people, I don't think that they're malicious or they're bad. I often get the feeling that the will to do hard work and to put your boots on the ground is not there. It's almost as though I get the feeling sometimes people are hoping somebody would do it, not realizing, that their government are the ones to kind of create the infrastructure. And if they can't do it because they haven't got the personnel or the professionalism, expertise in-house, it's there externally. It's there. There are a number of people in Grenada who can implement that project.
Barbados has done a better job on that.
Oh, wonderful job. Barbados has done
Antigua
yeah.
and some of the islands has done a better job.
Jamaica have done a...
Jamaica has done it. I believe one of the biggest challenges we have in Grenada is the directorates. Our people perhaps want tourists from Cuba and China.
Oh.
You see, our leaders are so well immersed themselves too much in ideology without recognizing the economic significance of their people.
Mm-hmm.
When you sit down and you listen to some of our people speak, you think they are agents for Marxists, Leninists, and communists. I've always had issue with them on that. What is the economic reality on the ground? Where do we trade? Now, if you embrace the communists and the left wing too much, it's going to affect the economic realities. Because you show up yourself and all of a sudden you're on the United States of America radar.
And distance is important.
So we have to understand it is not a question of right and wrong. It's a question that we have some powerful empires, United States of America, Russia, and China. United States working with Europe, the free market, they have election, colonialism, neo-colonialism, capitalism, you could call it all what you want. The communist countries, they don't have a free market. They don't have a free country. They don't have freedom of the media. Nothing is wrong or right with it. But the West now realize once government can change, they could continue propagating the communist doctrine. So the United States always advocate for a free market, the media, and election periodically. We in the Caribbean here, as Kamala Bissesa said, all of us benefited from the free market and election. She said if we didn't have election, we would not be here. In Cuba, we had Castro. Castro gave his brother Raul after decades, and when Raul get Chupidia sick, he give his partner. So they don't have a free market. We in the Caribbean, we are enjoying the free market We are enjoying election. We don't too like free media because they criticize us, but we have it. And we use the media to terrorize the government when we're in opposition. When we're in government, we want to kill the poor people we use to terrorize the government. You can't eat your cake and have it. Now, yet, we're fighting to defend a government, Cuba, Venezuela, Russia, China, that have no election, that lock up the people in jail, that execute and jail media personnel. We in the Caribbean, in particularly in Grenada, have to suppress our personal ideological urges and remember the economic realities and the fact that the tourists we want come from America. The fish and the sauce and the 20 other products we can export is to America. Our people not balling to go in Cuba. I don't know when last a Grenadian go and live in Cuba. Even the people studying Cuba, they want to go in America. Well, I have said repeatedly, communist country doesn't make communists. Communist country make capitalists. So all the guys who go and study in Cuba, they are capitalists. So somehow or the other, our leaders emerge themselves into the communist, Marxist, Leninist, progressive, socialist doctrine and not taking the economic realities of the country.
I think that's a good point that you make, and I can agree with it to a degree. I guess those who are very knowledgeable in terms of that area will point out a lot of inconsistency that happens with the United States and what it preaches. But what I want to focus really on is in terms of what we're going through and the difficulties, and sometimes this gets lost. If we do the simple things that we talk about on this program all the time, if we stabilize our poultry industry, there's the creation of 3,000 jobs, there's millions and millions of dollars in the local economy. If we have fresh produce going to all the hotels, that's another 3,000 to 5,000 jobs created in the rural economy. If we start branding our spices and selling to our local people, hotels, local businesses, and countries that are not put any embargo on us, we have a little trade with Europe already. Britain wants to reestablish trade. I'm not sure what kind of trade we could have with Britain, but there are other things, and there are things that we can do. We don't have to just sit and wait for a handout. We can link.
This is a word that's been used so frequently in Grenada that I always try to understand what they mean by handout. And every time they use it, they seem to be pointing at me and the poor people in the country. Because, I'm a financially embarrassed person suffering from monetary instability. So every time they use this word,
Mr. Pierre, what you mean?
they're targeting the poor and vulnerable. What you mean when you say handout?
Yeah. Now, I came across a phrase in terms of negotiations I've been involved in, and the phrase I came across was that businesses and people are too over-dependent in terms of government. And that came out of discussions where government was being encouraged to invest in a local industry. So, that kind of enabling environment could be created. And government, in terms of doing that, we were trying to persuade and say these are the benefits that will come. We know, like countries like the USA, Britain, etc., invest millions and millions in their industry because they realize how important it is, especially agriculture. Europe used to kind of pay farmers to create excess products, milk and butter and those things. Now, when this phrase is used, handout, often it's not used in the truest or the real sense. It's used as a baseball bat to shut you up and to say, don't ask for anything. Don't ask us to do what we're supposed to do, because what is actually happening is that you blame the person who's suffering at the hands of your policies and your kind of your deeds. And quite often those people, they don't have access to the media as you have. So what you see is that people would demonstrate, for example, they might say, in Maribor, don't turn the water off. And they will have, their little 5 minutes. But the powers that be have access to the media all the time to distort the message. So oftentimes, when we use the word handout, it's essentially a legitimate claim that is often trying to be made illegitimate by the powers that be. It's not, something that is genuine, but it's in our culture. That's how we put people down, We say, oh, they are only looking for handout, they're looking for this, they're looking for that. But if you do a comparison in terms of, how the state benefit regular, everyday kind of people, raising them out of poverty. We don't invest a lot in our people and lifting them out of poverty. As bad as it is in terms of people could criticize the debushing project, but when you talk to the people who are working on it, it's always targeted in a way to benefit their children, whether it's their books or their school uniform or food, etc. It's something that has become intrinsic in terms of a bit of poverty alleviation. And as much as this current administration talked about getting rid of it, when they realized the benefit of it, they expanded it, as far as I see.
Yes, and perhaps we should discuss this issue. I use the word handout, and it comes directly because of the ideological clashes. Remember, in the communist bloc countries, you have a lot of state control. And then the capitalists are free market. Because none of them is a pure ideology. They tend to be mixed. But in Grenada, we have active leaders who really believe in communism. And then we have some who believe in capitalism. So we tend to have a clash in terms of whether we should have state control or whether we should invest more in the free market. And that's where you have a clash.
Yeah.
It was so sad and unfortunate that the debushing program was attacked so mercilessly. The debushing program increased, particularly after COVID-19. Because St. George's University reduced significantly the operation. Tourism became a trickle. So government used the debushing program, which was necessary, but not absolutely necessary. In fact, they increased the number of people in it to use it as a social program. Expand it as a social program, and you saw people who was working in the hotel who would not normally end up in debushing program,
It became a bigger safety net.
A social program. And then the government extend from COVID-19 over 300 people that was involved in the schools to help with sanitation and sanitary practice. The government realized we can't get rid of these people. So although the high sanitary practices was not necessary anymore, they keep them around the school.
Yeah.
So all these things were social programs.
Yeah, social safety
And nothing
net.
is wrong with that. Because when you calculate if you have high unemployment, there's some necessary consequences.
Yeah.
One of them is prostitution.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is the sex trade. One of them is violence. One of them is gambling. One of them is increase in pre-deal larceny. So the amount of money you have to put on police and to keep them in prison, you have these strong social programs.
Yeah, preventative programs.
But I believe that this present situation as exists because of the geopolitical dynamic that we are deeply involved in. The Caribbean can say we're not there. The last time we say we're non-aligned, Cuba was leading the non-aligned. Well, Cuba is a communist country and a satellite propagating Russia and China communism. So if you say you're non-aligned and you occupy it, there's something wrong with your brain. But all the Caribbean countries jump now, line and say they're non-aligned. Now you want zone of peace. Well, how you could want zone of peace when Venezuela is a satellite of Russia and Cuba and Hamas? And Venezuela was not a country that adhering to the democratic process based upon the opinion of the Western people. That they say they thief the election. And Maduro have people in jail. And he closed down the media. Once you do that, you are not adhering to the principles of democracy as propagated by Kamala and some of the people in the Caribbean.
Yeah, and we talked the politics this morning with that, and I hope what we illustrate is that it's not easy, and the Caribbean is not a monolithic group of people all thinking the same. They think different, but what I hope comes out from it is we can agree to disagree without destroying each other or without isolating each other, because as a grouping we have to kind of mature. And the second thing that I hope will come out of it is our self-reliance. We need to have real leadership in these times. We really need leaders who can kind of help us kind of raise our head above the water in this kind of very distressing time. There is real opportunities here. We cannot use our CBI project simply to get foreign investors to come in, use the money, build hotels, and give us cheap labor. We need to develop our economy so that it's...
And again, my brother, the CBI program is a capitalistic thing.
Yeah, but we need to have tangible benefits in terms
What
of...
we do in the CBI program?
If I would...
What are we doing with it for the farmers? You have
yes. That's a great question. What are we doing with
Zero,
it?
nil, nada, nothing.
No, sorry, I misunderstood. You're absolutely right.
We're getting
zero, nil, nada.
we're getting some money and some opportunities as a result of the one Donald Trump said he don't meddle with the environment.
The environment.
Well, I take Donald Trump's position. Donald Trump kind of modified position. But I don't waste time with the environment. It's a hoax.
Yeah.
But I still encourage small countries to make maximum use of that hoax because they could get money.
Yeah.
What we doing with the money we get for agriculture?
Yeah, that is something that we need to spend a little time on, Mr. Pierre, because agriculture will benefit the whole of the nation, and it benefits real local, everyday people you see walking up and down the street, sometimes with a hole in their shoes, etc. how does CBI trickle?
Wait. When you see the hole in the pants, I know it's the pants you're going. They put the hole in the pants, and most men don't mind it. That was a low blow.
Yeah, but if we could have visionary leadership, and we could transfer some of that kind of wealth from the CBI, to agriculture, it will make such a big difference. We can, target maybe about a 10 million for the poultry industry to stable.
You're calling a lot of money?
But they're talking a billion and something they take in.
You see, and I believe for this we have 10 more minutes. And let's try to spend that 10 minutes where we directly speaking about what could be done for agriculture, because now they're on a standstill. And it's not a question that they don't have money. They have money.
Yes.
And Grenada don't have big farmers. So all farmers don't have the capacity. Most of our farmers, they don't have the capacity to use $100,000.
Yeah. So this is how I see it using. I was fortunate enough to be in one of the little link with one of the hotels with a few farmers. And what we've done is come together, about 5 of us, so that we can get a contract to produce one produce. Now, once you do that, there's 5 farmers who the individual farms need upgrading, need stabilizing, etc. But what it does, it keeps that money in your local economy. It generates employment. So between the 5 of us, we are employing about 10 people now, just as a result of that coming together, working together, and that contract.
A little economic niche.
Yeah, and if we could do that all around the country, the impact that would have with little, but we can come
with
together.
Talawa.
Yeah, with little, but with Talawa. And it's that. We have a very individualistic approach sometimes. But there are farmers who want to work together, who see the benefits of working together. And once you start and you see the success of that, it only gets bigger. It's like Amazon. Amazon's basically operates with this model. You're making 5,000 of this, they will ask, can you make 2 million of this? And you say yes, they say, okay, well, we'll invest in that, because they could see the benefits. You have already established the product works. Now we will establish that the little cooperatives work, whether it's 5 of us or 10 of us. And, that can be expanded up. More of it can be done. Real benefits to the farmer, real money to the farmer, real benefit to the tourist. There's so many opportunities that we have just by linking agriculture with tourism. It's phenomenal. But why is it that we don't use some of the CBI money to create that infrastructure? Why don't we do that?
I believe that the farmers don't have lobbying power.
And I agree.
Our farmers do not have lobbying power. They choose some individuals to represent them who does not seek their interests at all. And I think this is the key.
Yeah.
The farmers don't, because a Grenadian farmer, 90% of the Grenada farmer don't need much money to help them. I have always said Grenadians don't broke.
No.
They have money. It's what they invest the money in. And our political directorate and the agricultural experts, the czars in agriculture, they refuse to discuss the farmer's problem with them. They bring problems to the farmer. They say, that is your problem.
Yeah, you're right. I've been in discussion with
they said, that is your problem.
That is your...
I remember they said to a farmer, he must keep record. The farmer say, I'm keeping record. They go back to the farmer, he must keep record. The farmer go to a meeting, the farmer walk out of the meeting, the man say, keeping record. He said, look, my wife, how she looking well. He said, I have 3 vehicles in the yard. He said, look at the size of my house.
Yeah.
My children don't work in no way. What record they want to keep? When you want to see me record, watch me wife and my children and my vehicle.
Yeah.
Because
That's
they don't understand that the farmer would do first what is in his interest.
Yeah.
I met another farmer, he had some very nice sheep. And a guy said, you have some good breed. Where you got them? He said, well, 30 years I rearing sheep and I never buy a sheep. Because his motto was sell more and buy less.
Yeah.
So he have good sheep. They were asking him where he buy. He said, for 30 years I've maintained the breed.
Yeah.
Now, a simple thing. You go in a farmer yard and you see some nice foals. You ask him where he buy the foal. The man say, I doesn't buy foal, a yard foal. But the foal so nice, he say, always eat the cock. Because if you live in the cock and you don't eat in the cock, the whole thing will get cock-a-ras. But our bright intelligentsia have refused to practicalize the certification. Yeah, the technicians say we have 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
takes a minute.
And one of the points I really want to emphasize is that sometimes we're looking at the external market, similar to what Mr. Pierre and I often say. We come from a culture of waiting on the white man with the big horse and the cloak and the sword to come and save us, and that ain't gonna happen. Now, what we have to do now is to be look at the low-hanging fruits, and the low-hanging fruits really are our home-based economy, and maybe to a little degree Trinidad as well, because whether we like it or not, we link to Trinidad in trade. And see, especially with the fish, how can we do the secondary processing of the fish? How can we make fish more palatable in our school children diet? How can we make the hotel buy our fish instead of importing fish? So look at our internal market first. Look at the link between tourism and agriculture for the local farmer. There's nothing wrong with helping our local people to get some money in their pocket. There's nothing wrong with our local people becoming millionaire. Why is the emphasis always on foreign? Look at our home market, how we can kind of improve it, how we can stabilize it, and how we can make it better, and how we can make our people economically more successful. There's nothing wrong with our people being economically successful. There's nothing wrong with government helping their own people. I just get the impression sometimes we're always looking for a solution externally.
And if we get the solution, we say we have a problem.
Yeah.
So I generally want our directorates, our political directorates. Too many of our political directorates in the Caribbean, from Mia Motley to Grenada here, they're too consumed by the and excited by the communist, Marxist, Leninist ideology. If you look at all the countries that have Marxist, Leninism, progressive socialism, communism, are failed countries. Russia failed. China too. China have millions of people in jail. Venezuela, jail. Cuba, jail. Russia, jail. They don't believe in the free market. And they restrict the traveling of their own people. So if you're pushing tourism, well, why are you targeting Cuba for? You have to target Americans. And you have to recognize that our economy, our inclination of our people, our dreams and aspiration is America and Europe, while our leaders want to bring us in communist countries. And I think this is a harsh reality of what we find ourselves here as farmers. if the geopolitical relationship situation that is existing now deteriorate, remember how Trinidad put Vizzy on us, Ollie? When Maurice Bishop was jumping up and insulting Caribbean leaders, as soon as this system collapsed, Trinidad rammed Vizzy on Grenada. So I'm appealing to the farmers in Grenada. Use your good influence and try to shape the direction of your political directorate so they stay away from communism and you would have better opportunities with the free market. We want to thank you very much for being with us on the program today, and we want you to share our program. We beg, let local content grow. Stop complaining. You have a program, share it, subscribe, like we program. Even if you don't like it, you might like it next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Ask you questions, sing and beat you drum. Make you suggestions, encourage them on to walk the straight and narrow in the land. Dawla, politics, religion, and economic issue, regional, international, spiritual issues too, agricultural, environmental, and trending to subject matter. We fear none, we back down. Freedom of speech is enshrined in the land. God, we free.